Alright, welcome back to Campaign 8 Revived Rites. This is the second part to the prologue. Because it's just reading all these national ideas and going over each nation, it takes a long time. It really does. So for the first part we did my submissions, Yayoi, Maki, VIII, Masanori Akamatsu, the Maki Destroyer, and so now we are carrying on to Pimenta, it's called a regular submitter in these campaigns, and his first submission is Gnome Borea. And if you're new to this, Pimenta is usually one to do meme submissions, so Gnome Borea with gnomish traditions. The traditions are can't establish colonies and development cost minus 10%. So Gnome Borea is not, they're not going anywhere. That colonist is going to be eliminated seemingly, right? They can't. Yep. So the first national idea is the woods are our fortress. Gnomes live in the forest. Nature is their ally in their defense. Fort maintenance minus 15%. Second national idea is we are everywhere. Gnomes are very small and hard to notice. They can hear everything you say without you knowing. Foreign spy defense minus 40%. Or plus 40%. So seemingly, like, Gnome Borea is going to just be like a weird thorn in people's side. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to hold out against anyone, but we'll see. We'll see if anyone gets gnomed on. I don't know. Excuse me. The second one from Pimenta is, he brought back Hyperborea. Hyperborea did very well in the second test run, so I'm curious to see how Hyperborea does this time. The traditions are merchant trade power plus 10, and then all states loyalty equilibrium plus 10%. The first national idea is mammoths, the ancient mount of the Hyperboreans and the most powerful animal in the world. Cavalry combat ability plus 15%. And second national idea is true heirs to the Finnish Empire. In ancient times, these lands belonged to the Finnish Empire. After the Finno-Korean Hyperwar, the empire collapsed and civilization went back thousands of years. We will recreate the empire from Lisbon to Vladivostok. Core creation cost minus 15%. Lord help us if we see another fucking Finno-Korean Hyperwar with fucking Hyperborea at the helm or some shit. I can only imagine what it's gonna be. The Atlantean Menace, Jesus. I don't know. I think Hyperborea was submitted in the campaign 7 or something like that, and it did not do well. But I mean, if the test run showed us anything, Hyperborea is something to watch out for this time. The next submission from Pimenta is Austro-Bavaria. I asked him, this is kind of like mimicking Austria-Bavaria from Formables Extended, and he said that he doesn't play with Formables Extended, which is completely understandable. Not everyone does, and not everyone wants to. But it's just because I put Austria-Bavaria in that mod, and this just seems very reminiscent of it, so. And I don't think, no, he didn't put descriptions. So, the traditions of Austro-Bavaria are missionary strength plus 1.5% and diplomatic reputation plus 1. The first national idea is chance of a new heir is plus 50%. Second national idea is encourage production efficiency plus 10%. The third national idea is construction cost minus 10%. So, if they stay Catholic and they chill right where they are and just kind of expand in the Central Europe, Austro-Bavaria will be very powerful. But They have to contend with the Palatinate and Bohemia and Ferrara, so we shall see. The next one from Pimenta is the Communist States. This is a meme submission. Good God. Oh, good God, Pimenta. With Chairman Donald Trump at the helm and MAGA ideas, the traditions are plus 15% global trade power, and then plus 10 global settlers. And then first national idea is achieve real communism. In order to achieve true communism, the state will have to raise taxes. National tax modifier plus 15%. The second national idea is the poors with health care. Finally, America has free health care. Trust me, it's free. You don't pay anything for it. Now pay the tax. Manpower recovery speed plus 15%. So, I don't know where this meme comes from. I think it's a 4chan shitpost, but I could be wrong. I could be correct. I don't know. But the communist states, in terms of I think they're more capable of dominating than others. I think compared to myself, the submission that is me, I think the communist states can honestly beat me out because the Rajput traditions and ideas, those don't do anything. So we'll see. But Pimenta also asked me to try and turn them revolutionary if I can. I'll look into see if I can, but I'm not sure if I can just flip an event and just be like, oh hey, you're revolutionary, have fun. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Next one is the Flanders realm. Oh wait, I forgot to do one thing. Their primary culture is Scarlet, right? Yep. Let me just do this real quick. Culture 90. Culture 1865. And then culture 96. And then culture... oh god. Culture 4796. Okay. So culture stuff done. This is the Flanders realm. Flanders realm was a very powerful submission last campaign. I remember that distinctly. And considering they're in the lowlands region where there's a lot of natural development, I have a feeling the Flanders realm is going to be very powerful again. So, their traditions are plus 10% goods produced and plus 10% shock damage. The first national idea is Scarlet Devil's little sister. Remilia Scarlet is known as the Scarlet Devil. Although she is actually a little drinker and never killed a human for his blood, her messy behavior terrified the humans. Now our ruler, Flandre, is to an extent even our realm is known as the Scarlet Devil's little sister. Because of their fear of the devil, they are more willing to hear the word of the little sister. Diplomatic reputation +2. And the second national idea is Basement Child. It is a sad truth, but our founder and ruler, Flandre, has spent almost her entire life in the basement by request of her sister, and even though she chose voluntarily for this, the basement lifestyle still marked her. Yet Flandre never lost her enjoyment of life, even in these dark times, and even wrote many imaginative ideas down. Her story is truly an inspiration for this new realm. Idea cost -5%. And really the rest of these national ideas are just... they're catered to making the Flanders realm really fucking powerful. So, yeah, I don't anticipate that the Flanders realm is going to have any trouble spiraling out of control if they make it past, like, 1400, or not 1400, 1500. But we have a new submission here. We have Yvain, so maybe things happen. We don't know. The next submissions are from Sekan. The first submission from Sekan is Hyrkania. So, the first national idea from Hyrkania, or the traditions, my bad, minus 10% development cost, and then plus 20% caravan power. The first national idea is the Aswad tradition. Due to our neighbors, Persia has always been the home of some of the best cavalrymen in the world. From the heavily clad Aswaran to the agile but light Kizilbashis, our riders have always been and will continue to be unrivaled on the field. Cavalry combat ability plus 15%. Lower this down just a little bit. The land of silken rugs. The lands of Hyrkania have been a center of rug making and sericulture for centuries, with these goods making some of our most prized exports to both the west and east alike. These industries and the artisans are held in high esteem as they bring wealth to us. Goods produced modifier plus 15%. If Hyrkania is able to basically survive past the Bronze Horde, sorry about that. Had to just take care of something real quick. Anyways, as I was saying, if Hyrkania can make it past like 1500 and survive the Bronze Horde, then I do believe that they'll be just fine. So, because in the first test run, the Bronze Horde wasn't there, and they were able to take over the Scorpion Cell with ease. But the second test run, the Bronze Horde was here, and they had Astara instead of Caspian, and so the Bronze Horde was able to really dominate Hyrkania from the very start. But, you know, things changed around. We'll see what happens between Hyrkania and the Bronze Horde. The second submission from Sekan is Tingitana. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I hope I am, but I might not be. But it's global trade, or the traditions are global trade power plus 20%, and yearly prestige plus 1.5. And its first national idea is Custodians of the Pillars. The realm of the Tartessians overlooks the Pillars of Hercules, straddling the southern part of Hispania and the north of Mauritania. This position at the Mediterranean's exit has provided us great wealth from the traders that pass through. Ship trade power plus 30%. The second national idea is, Edreta and the Baetica Wars. Quote, I would rather be dead as a martyr than be an affluent captive. We must never bow our heads even in those darkest hours, as that is when fate shines to the glorious. End quote. Queen Edreta's tombstone, Tartessos. Morale damage received minus 7.5%. So really, Tingitana, I just fear because they're North Africa, they might struggle a little bit more. I'm hoping they can do well enough to like fight off Aelcorks, or even just like stall Aelcorks, because I just don't know how well Tingitana is going to do. They don't have very many naval ideas to support themselves. They're more land focused, which is also where Aelcorks is focused, you know. That's not right. I don't know why they have Mecklenburg traditions. Hold on. Well, Kravens, your submission will have its national ideas read in part 1, because I don't know what happened here. I'm not entirely sure why it has Mecklenburg's ideas. So I will figure that out, and yeah, I'll get back to that, because I have no idea what happened with that. Yeah, that's really weird. Anyways, going back to the national ideas of stuff. So we did Tingitana. Next one, we have the twins in Central America. We have Tikal. So, Tikal, with its Mutul ideas, infantry combat ability plus 15%, and yearly legitimacy plus 1.5. Its first national idea is Teotihuacan influences. Our ties to the Teotihuacan Empire of central Mexico are deep, with embassy starting in 200 AD, followed by a conquest of Tikal by Siyacac, creating a dynasty descended from the Teotihuacans. This legacy of martial strength is one to cherish. Yearly army tradition decay minus 2%. Mayanized rulership. Although our roots in Teotihuacan are strong, we must adopt our culture to match the people over whom we rule. By taking influences from both cultures, we can become a center of courtly life, architecture, and the arts. Cost of advisors with rulers' culture, minus 20%. And then I'm just going to go right into Calakmul, because I don't know if they're really going to survive long against each other to do much other than fight each other. Because in both of the test runs, it's just one of them is dead within the first 20 years. So we have Calakmul, and with their Ka'an ideas, their traditions are plus 20% female advisor chance and plus 5% discipline. The first national idea is successors to El Mirador. The city of El Mirador was once the dominant power among the Maya, and at the time our city was closely linked to theirs, with our dynasty even originating there. Whom else to take up their mantle as the Mayan power but us, their capable descendants? Stability cost modifier minus 10%. Second national idea is assembling alliances. To defeat our rival Tikal, it is best to forge alliances with the cities most threatened by them, their neighbors. If we get Tikal surrounded by a network of our own allies, they will be unable to fight back. Diplomatic relations plus 2. Now, looking toward the wider scope of things, I'm not entirely sure who has the better scope on fighting other regional powers. They both seem pretty good, but maybe it's Calakmul? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. It's something to mull over later on. Alright. Next one is the Cyan Menace. He's done a lot with his first submission in Bithynia. Let's see. Traditions are plus 10% global trade power and plus 10% infantry combat ability. The first national idea is successors of Alexander, crown and tactics. During our wars against Macedon, we have pried away Alexander's crown from them. Now it sits on the head of Bithynia. Our military shall be improved to show that we deserve the mantle ourselves. Cavalry combat ability plus 15%. And the second national idea is concrete infrastructure. A new type of concrete made by our engineers to be highly resilient and versatile. As we continue to build infrastructure pieces across the land, let us use opus caementicium to make sure that it lasts for centuries to come. Global possible number of buildings plus 1. And then afterwards, Bithynia seems to be more naval focused. Well, it's just one national idea, but it could work. It's galley combat ability, and Bithynia seems like more suited to spreading out. But whether or not they can fight off Roxolania or Wallachia or the Epirot Empire, I'm not entirely sure. It's something that's up in the air. The next submission is Hurulea. I'm going to drink some water first. Wow, it's a lot of talking. The traditions for Hurulea, or the Haruli traditions, are trade efficiency plus 15% and infantry combat ability plus 15%. The first national idea is Thulestad, a city in the far, unknown reaches of Europe on the island of Zeeland, perfectly placed between the Mare Suebicum and Atlantic, Germania and Scandinavia. This is where we shall found a city that shall grow into an imperial capital. Development cost modifier minus 5%. The Scandinavian trade communities. Our position means that many nations around us have wished to trade with us, including the Windhammocks and Sami, to whom we have set up a ferry caravan from Oscarlunija to Inari, another route westward to Albion, and one south to the Marcomanni, merchants +1. Haruli, even just judging from the second test run, they're very powerful. There's no getting around it. They're very powerful. Their traditions make them powerful, as well as like the first 2 to 3 national ideas, like super well suited to just dominating. And they're gonna have a naturally large navy, so it's gonna be tough for others. Next one is Etoile. First national, or the traditions of Etoile, are production efficiency plus 10% and goods produced plus 20%. The first national idea is land reform. Oh, actually, no, I don't think he did. I don't think he did national ideas. So is land reform, and development cost minus 10%, and then development cost modifier minus 5%, and goods produced plus 1.5 flat. From what I was told or hinted at, this is really just like an economic power, just to kind of see how much economically one could maximize, and I'm kind of looking forward to see how this goes, because this is so much economic power, so much. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it does really well, or maybe Etoile just falls flat on its face. I don't know. We shall see. The next one is Pikunmapu in what is today modern day Chile. I don't think these are different ones. So let's just go through them. So the traditions are, I think this is more expansionist than anything. Settler chance plus 20, and then global settler increase plus 10 in the traditions. So really fast expansion. First national idea is experienced settlers plus colonists plus 1. The second national idea is institution spread plus 30%. And then the third national idea is institution spread in true faith provinces plus 40%. So yeah, this is just like super expansionist and really cheap institutions, or at least really fast institutions. So we'll see how quickly Pikunmapu can maximize its colonization game. And then was Pikunmapu, and then the really cool, I think this one was like a really cool idea, just personally. Badgarak. So Badgarak, in full transparency, or at least being somewhat transparent, Cyan came up to me and was asking like, hey, I'm going to do 3 modifiers, but it's going to be kind of this up and down sort of system. And I was like, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't really allow 3 modifiers like this over and over again, but the way he's doing it is really cool. So the traditions are plus 2.5% discipline and minus 5% idea cost, which are pretty okay in their own right. And then his first national idea is Chapter 1, Monotonous Industry. The first chapter of our history is a period of mass industrialization and development. New infrastructure projects are under construction and business is booming, but this leaves little room for our citizens to pursue the creative arts. So, he has two buffs: construction cost plus 10%, idea cost, and goods produced modifier plus 10%. Those are pretty good, but then he has something that takes him down a few notches too. Idea cost plus 10%. So, after unlocking this first national idea, ideas will therefore cost 5% more, but it'll be cheaper to construct things, and his economy is getting better. And plus, he's got 2.5% discipline. And then it kind of keeps going through this over and over again, and he's listing out the total modifiers per each one, which is really cool. He's doing the math, and he's making sure that we are up to date too on what's changing with each national idea, and it's color coded too, which is fucking cool. So Chapter 2, Feudal Census. A feudal census was thus conducted in the Perigord, allowing the king to levy taxes and levies from previously concealed noble fiefdoms. However, the census only applied for the nobility. Thus, many workshops owned by non-noble guilds still remain untapped. And that gives national tax modifier plus 10%, national manpower modifier plus 15%, and then goods produced modifier minus 20%. So, economy is going up and down, but the military is getting better. And then it just keeps going on from there. So, I really like this concept from Cyan. It's not too powerful. He's not going overboard with these numbers, but he's also not gimping himself too much either. So, really looking forward to how this turns out. The next submissions are from Senor Mango. His first submission is Alexandria. Oh wow, he actually did stuff for that. Okay. So Alexandria. Plus 15% manpower recovery speed, and then plus 10% chance to capture enemy ships. Something we don't see a lot at all. First national idea is the post-Mamlukian anarchy. 800 AH was a year forever remembered in Egypt as a year of liberation. It was the year that cemented the end of the Mamlukian rule over Egypt and Syria. We are one of the remnants born out of the unrest caused by the suppression. Fort maintenance minus 10%. Warriors of Christ. Coptic defenders wield faith against the chaos that engulfed Egypt. They are fueled by faith, they are fueled by hatred, but they are also fueled by hope for a better future. Morale of armies plus 5%. So, that's one part of this Egyptian Thunderdome. The next part, the Fatimid Restoration. So, the Fatimids get infantry combat ability plus 10%, and then monthly piety minus 0.2 in their traditions. The first national idea is the same thing. Their second national idea is Ajiz Phoenix. I thought that was a J. I'm stupid. That's what I get for reading too fast. The second national idea is Ali's Phoenix. We were pushed into shadows and had to fake submissions to ensure our survival in the new Sunni Egypt. Now that central authority in Egypt has fallen, we can express our faith more openly with a newborn zeal. Manpower in True Faith provinces plus 20%. And then finally, we have the Mamlukian remnants. Traditions of plus 10% production efficiency and plus 10% global trade power. The first national idea is the same. The second national idea is suppression of powerful factions. In the years leading up to our collapse, we saw factions form when powerful figures thought our state to be doomed. If we are to avoid the repeat of our past mistakes, we need to make sure it will be more difficult for any factionalism to occur. All estates influence modifier minus 10%. So, if they were further apart, these three would have a chance of like spreading out and getting their national ideas and kind of going forth. But in both of the test runs, Alexandria dominated everything. The Mamluks had a chance, but the Fatimids never had a shred of hope. They're religiously isolated, they're Shiite, and the closest Shiites are the Rasids or the Scorpion Cell, or if they want to try to ally O1R1, that's an option, but war starts just so quickly that the Alexandria and the Mamluks, they just come in and divide everything up. So the Fatimids just have nothing left to do. And really, it's kind of sad because I kind of want to see like what they can do, but at the same time, it's just how the cookie crumbles, man. Sometimes players submit their submissions really close to each other and they end up fighting to the death, and they're left with one submission at the end of it. And I don't know. So maybe the person prefers that, maybe they don't. I don't know. But regardless of who wins, I am eager to see what happens between all three of these submissions from Mango. His fourth submission is Beornia. Beornia. So, Beornia. The traditions of Beornia are minus 5% construction cost and plus 0.05 inflation reduction, whereas the first national idea is Frit Inan Camelot. When William the Conqueror seized England, our Anglo-Saxon ancestors fled. Their original plan was to flee to Ireland, but a wind blew our ships off course until eventually we arrived in Camelot. Automatically discovers adjacent when a colony is built, so kind of useless. The next national idea is Sip Hera. It is a miracle our cows did not die to inbreeding, and thanks to that godly intervention, our nobles became entrenched in our society as the main providers of meat. It is difficult to diminish their rights. Estates loyalty change on privilege revoked minus 20%. So I think that means like they're not going to lose any loyalty when a privilege is revoked. In the test run, the second test run, so Pikun Mapu really expanded really quickly, and Beornia kind of got off the ground, but Pikun Mapu just had overwhelming numbers. Credit where credit is due, Beornia really tried to like stick it to Pikun Mapu and stick it out to the end, but in the end, the West dominated the East. Now, maybe we'll see the same thing happen again, maybe we won't. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see, and I think I need to take that air out too. But I'll ask him before. I'm not recording part 1 after this. Like my voice is tired. The next submissions are from Burn, a returning player who submitted last time when we were still doing like the Beyond Typist map, which is a long time ago. His first submission is Sudreyar, the Norse in the Isles. So, the traditions are plus 20% light ship combat ability and shock damage received minus 20%. Powerful, powerful traditions. And the first national idea is Things. The children of our advisors shall follow in their parents' footsteps, ensuring that we will never lack advisors of any sort. Advisor cost minus 15%. And then Adventurism. We have a long tradition of exploration and adventure, from the explorers of Vinland to our brothers in the Varangian. We shall embrace this heritage. Colonists plus 1. So if they can get their national ideas, they can get really strong, really wide, like with that extra colonist. And their navy is no joke from the very beginning, because hey, plus 20% light ship combat ability. Light ships are something that the AI always strives to have. Heavy ships, kind of, if they have the money, you know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if Sudreyar can strut its stuff. The next submission from Byrne is the Kingdom of Wessex. Their traditions are plus 5% discipline and change national focus cooldown minus 10 years. The first national idea is Papal Relatives. Some of our rulers' family members are important cardinals in the Holy See. We can use them to get away more easily with some of the favors we take from the Pope. Curia power costs minus 30%. That's a really rare national idea, I would say. You don't see that a lot. The next national idea is the enemy of my enemy. Rivalry is not a stoic system, and it is more often than not beneficial to drop a previous rival in order to focus on a much larger threat. So, change rival cost minus 100%. So, hopefully, these national ideas will help Wessex when it comes to the Flanders realm, because in the test runs, the Kingdom of Wessex did fine in the Isles. But when it came to the Flanders realm was able to expand throughout the main continental Europe just fine, and then overwhelm Wessex with its numbers and all that. Maybe Wessex will be able to turn it around this time. We shall see. The next submission from Byrne is the Kingdom of St. Thomas. So the traditions of the Kingdom of St. Thomas are missionary strength plus 1% and morale of armies plus 15%. And then the first national idea is our ancestors. Our ancestors were feared Vikings and raiders with exceptional knowledge in naval warfare. We have kept these traditions and continue to develop them. Our coasts are safe. Sorry, my throat is getting really dry. Galley combat ability plus 10%. I'm not sure. Oh, this is okay. Yeah. So galleys will be much better over here, so they'll be fine. And then war elephants. When our ancestors settled in these lands, they feared the elephants which the locals used in force. We have since adopted their usage for our military as our cultures intermingled. Cavalry combat ability plus 20%. So, if St. Thomas is able to overcome Nyan Kalyani, there's no stopping them. I really don't think there would be any stopping the Kingdom of St. Thomas if they get off to a good start. If they don't get off to a good start, though, I don't know. Like, if they struggle against Nyan Kalyani, they could be in for a rough time. But their national ideas should really help them out. Especially that galley combat ability. Let's see, what else? We have Soft coming back with only one submission this time, but it is an interesting one. It is Balochistan. So, the traditions of Balochistan are monthly piety minus 0.3 and clergy loyalty equilibrium plus 10%. Or no, ulema loyalty equilibrium plus 10%. Goodness. Excuse me. A Balochi kingdom is the first national idea. By encouraging our soldiers to take pride in the units they belong, we can increase their morale and make them fight all that much harder. Morale of armies plus 15%. And the next national idea is united under the Mahdi. Our state has a long and proud tradition of serving God, strengthening the devotion of our rulers and ensuring that we act justly and rightly according to the will of the spiritual realm. Yearly devotion plus 1.5. I'm very curious to see how Balochistan does, since in the test run they didn't really interact with the Scorpion Cell, but they did take over Oman. So I'm not sure if Balochistan will be able to replicate that success, Maybe they will. Maybe Muscat is another valuable province they want to take. Or maybe Oman turns the tide and they ally with like the Scorpion Cell and they turn it on Balochistan. Things could happen because Balochistan is Zikri and they are not Ibadi, they're not Sunni. They're another version of Islam that may or may not be friendly. We gotta see. Next up we have Mira. Mira submission. I think Mira is submitted before, but I can't remember. Like campaign from a really long time ago. But Mira's submission of the Holy Roman Company. In the traditions, it's plus 10 global settlers, and then goods produced plus 1 flat. The first national idea is Hussite refuge. With the discrimination Hussites face across Europe, it is not uncommon for them to travel across the seas to the one nation, offering them safe refuge alongside a place to stay and a community they belong in. Settler chance plus 10%. No cities. In spite of the hostile architecture present, our architects have still managed to not only build cities that stand, but ones that thrive just as well. We must sponsor these brilliant minds and make sure our cities grow to the size of their European cousins. Development cost minus 10%. So, if the Holy Roman Company can consolidate its holdings in the archipelago, they could be really well off, and they even have some a naval idea to help them out. And on top of that, their military should be just fine. I don't really think they're going to have any trouble. The only thing is just like, hey, if they meet a stronger naval power, they could be in trouble. But other than that, like, their military's fine and all that. I don't really see any issues arising for the Holy Roman Company. But I could be wrong. No idea. And then our last submission, because, you know, I'm going to work on ale corks in my off time, because for some reason they get fucking Mecklenburg's traditions. Mecklenburg's ideas. Kravens, I will work on that. We have Yvain, from someone from outside the server. They're only allowed one submission because like they're not in the server. So it's just gonna be, I don't know where Yvain comes from either. So could be from something, could be from a game, I have no idea. The traditions of Yvain are discipline plus 5% and idea cost plus 10%, or minus 10%. Cheaper ideas and not more expensive ones. The first national idea is risen from ruins. Risen from the ashes of the eponymous Elfane kingdom, our kingdom has seen conflict and strife throughout its entire lifetime. If we did not know how to war, we would have been wiped off the map. Cavalry shock plus 1. Warrants of trade. Court-issued warrants of trade give our merchants greater legitimacy and trust in the eyes of foreign traders. Merchant trade power plus 5. So, seemingly, Yvain is going to be really powerful militarily. And I'm curious if Besançon and the Flandres realm are going to be able to put up a fight against this new Catholic power. Because previously in the second test run, Yvain wasn't here. It was just Bedgrac, Besançon, and the Flandres realm. And Besançon allied with the Flandres realm and kind of, you know, took off that way. Or took off, and the Flandres realm bit at or kind of like stabbed the Kingdom of Wessex. While Bedgrac, they allied with the Kingdom of Wessex, but they couldn't do anything. Because Flandres realm plus Besançon going in on Bedgrac, it's a 2v1. Nothing good happens from that for Bedgrac. But now that Yvain is here, things could change. I'm not entirely sure. I look forward to seeing what happens. But that's going to be it for now. Like I said, Ale Corks will have their national ideas written or read in the first part. I've done this before in the last campaign too. There was an issue with one of the submissions. Didn't read it in the prologue, just read it in the first part. So first part comes around, we'll hear about ale corks. Other than that, though, yes, first part's going to be coming next. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you when the campaign officially begins.